burning up here in North Carolina. It's 100 and some degrees.
That's July. Go
Yeah,
figure. And here's a
sure.
topic that I love and I love to cover. And this is one because you are going after the Dave Ramseys and the Sue Orman of the world, right? And saying what you're doing in those programs seem okay, but the fact is you have no life. Your wife wants to kill you, and you basically have nothing to do except just sit and watch the sun and not enjoy life. Well, your debt free for life program is completely different. So our topic today is achieve financial freedom with Alan Porter. And Alan, this is totally different than Dave Ramsey and Sue Orman. So what inspired you to create the debt free for life program?
Well, I didn't create it. What I do, I have a team of people I work with, and one of the people that I work with had created this program, and he taught me how to do it. But it's an absolute great program. I was inspired by seeing so many people with debt and realizing that with the right guidance, anybody can achieve financial freedom. But this guy showed me how to create a program that empowers people to take control of their finances and to live debt free.
100%. What are the core principles of the debt free for life program?
Well, the first thing we need to create a budget, but we need to list all our debts. Are we paying extra on these debts? Are we not paying? What's the minimum payments you're making? Are you making even the least amount of payments to where your bills are not increasing? It's called effective interest costs, and I'll explain that in a minute. But you need to have a plan. And as I've always said, Neil, if you don't have a plan, you got to make one, but you have to update it yearly. But there's a lot of things that go along with the debt free for life program is what you want to accomplish in life, but you want to set a realistic budget and strategize debt payment and make smart financial decisions with that basically align with your long-term goals.
And that makes so much sense because if you aren't having a realistic budget, you're not looking at the specific things, you are going to not be ready for retirement at all.
Absolutely, Neil. Think about all the people that 87% of the people in the United States are living paycheck to paycheck right now, and they're saddled with all these that's credit card debt. But it really what I'm trying to say is that you got to have a starting point. And a lot of people they say, okay, we'll do this, and then after 6 months they quit because they don't have any guidance. They're relying on themselves or some bad information. But we have a structured program that you know exactly where you are any time at this program because you can see it in our software.
What kind of support do participants receive during the program?
Well, always you have one-on-one coaching. Uh, we have a wealth of financial information and resources and a community of like-minded individuals who are in the same journey. Now, I've got dozens of clients in this Debt Free for Life program, and if they just follow the plan, don't try to change it, don't try to do this, and this. But people, today's society, they are how do you say that, Neil? They're I want it now. They can't afford it, but they want it now. So they end up getting themselves over in debt, just almost uncomparable because they can't get out of it. They don't know how to do it.
That's so true. Can you share a success story from someone who's completed the program?
Well, absolutely, and this is true for anybody. Now, this guy, I've known him for quite some time. He retired from the military when he was 42, and he had a new job and had good money he was making, and he wanted to do my tax-free retirement program with an index universal life insurance policy. My first question to him was, "What kind of debts do you have? How much debt do you have?" And he says, "Well, Alan, we bought a new house a couple of years ago. I had a couple of car payments, a loan, and a credit card." I said, "What's your interest rate on your mortgage?" He said, "Well, it's 2.75, Alan." I said, "Well, that's pretty good, but what's your effective interest cost on that?" He says, what do you mean, Alan? I don't know what you mean by that. I said, well, don't feel lonely because 99% of people I talk to include CPAs, financial advisors, and your attorneys, have no idea either. But I said, I want you to fill this debt free for life form out for me, send it back to me, and we'll do a Zoom conference. So we did. I said, you've got $461,000 in debt. That's not your problem. I said, the problem is the 49.76 effective interest cost that you're paying on that 2.75% mortgage. And he was really dumbfounded. He says, Alan, how is that even possible? I said, because you're not going to get to the 2.75% interest rate until the last couple of months of the mortgage. I said, you've got a credit card here that's over 90% effective interest cost. And even though you've got great credit, your average effective interest cost is over 46%. And Neil, my next question to him was, how long is it going to take you to pay your bills off? He said, well, 20 some years. I said, you're putting money in a 401k, aren't you? He said, yeah. I said, are you getting a 46% return on that? He said, no, in fact, I lost 10% in that last year. I said, and the fees that you paid that advisor, whether you made money or not. He says, yeah, you're right. And I said, I'll tell you what, take that $1,000 a month, just put it in your 401k and put it in this tax-free bucket of money in a whole life insurance policy. And in 10 years, by the time you're 52, I will have paid your debts off 14.17 years faster, saved you over $73,000 in interest, and there will be approximately $130,000 in a tax-free bucket of money that I can show you how to become your own bank. You'll never have to go to the bank to borrow money for a car, college education for your kids, anything else. You borrow from yourself and pay yourself back. Now understand this, Neil. I've been doing this for over a decade and a half. When you've got money in a cash value life insurance policy, whether it's index universal life or a whole life policy, you borrow from yourself, and you don't even have to pay yourself back if you don't want to. It just comes off the death benefit. You will accrue interest. But I just bought a new car last year. I borrowed the money for myself. I'm paying myself back, and it's going to compound for me instead of financial institutions. And also, what I do is I eliminate the effective interest costs I pay on the money I borrow. Now, think about this, Neil. If you went to a bank, got that money and financed to buy a car, you make the payments of the car, and you pay it off in 4 years. Well, now you got a car that's 4 years old, but all those payments you made are lost to you. They'll never compound for you again. But when I make a payment, it compounds for me. It'll compound for me for the rest of my life. And the other thing on this particular policy for this gentleman, his death benefit is over $400,000 to protect his family, which is tax-free in case something happens to him. Then I told him this. I said, understand this. You're only 52 years of age. Now you're completely debt-free. Now you can set up your other tax-free retirement program. But I said, you don't have to do anything else to this policy. You don't have to make any more payments or anything else. You just let it grow. And by the time you're 65, it'll be approximately $250,000 in there in a tax-free bucket of money that you can use in policy loans that do not, for your retirement, that do not affect the taxation of Social Security or the means testing for Medicare Part B, which will be in the thousands of dollars per year. It eliminates many of the risk in retirement, almost all the risk, or mitigates all the risk in retirement that a stock portfolio only compounds. You're protected from lawsuits, liens, and judgments. You're protected from sequence returns risk, which will decimate your retirement. The number one fear of running out of money before you run out of life, that's gone. You'll have guaranteed money. Longevity risk is a risk multiplier. Here's a huge one. Long-term care deal. Long-term care right now costs between $50,000 to $200,000 a year, and we have money that you can access in the death benefit, which is in hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars more than you have in your cash value. That's tax-free that you can use for long-term care. And long-term care will decimate a person's retirement, especially the caregiver. But people need to become educated on these. And here's the other thing, Neil. By the time he's 65, that death benefit now is $600,000 that he can use as a legacy for a family, or again, use for long-term care tax-free.
All right. The last question is, what's your number one piece of advice for someone feeling overwhelmed by debt today?
Give me a call. Absolutely. give me a call, but have a plan. You listen to Susie Orman and Dave Ramsey. I agree with about 50% of what they say. They say, good credit rating, keep your bills, keep your bills paid and everything. That's great advice. But when they say insurance is a bad investment, well, first off, it's not an investment. It's an embarrassment to call it an investment. It's in an asset class all of its own. There's no other financial product like properly structured insurance products that will give you the protection, the performance, and the benefits of these policies when properly built. And people don't know about it, and they should.
All right. The best place to go is call you again, 910-551-1046. Go to strategicwealthstrategies.com or email you at strategicwealth, the number 0 at gmail.com. Appreciate it, Alan.
You betcha. Everybody
All
have a
right.
great